the result that they told me, or that they thought it was that I had adrenal cancer at 25. And I was like frozen.
What gave you the clarity and courage to walk away and choose what feels like alignment today?
I feel like I'm still questioning, did I make the right decision? But I think there came a point where the stress and anxiety of being in a sales profession was starting to come at me at what cost is this? When I was working in tech, I was taking Adderall every day, and it was like Hulk fuel. The financial piece of figuring out how much capital I'm actually going to need to get this business up and running, to create a brand, a luxury brand. It's so much more than just showing up at someone's house with a massage bed.
A lot of people chase the money, but the reality is when you chase purpose and your calling, the money does come. Hello, everyone. I am so excited for you to join us. I am excited for Kelli to be here with me today. So Kelli is the founder of Empress Skin Studio, a holistic aesthetic practice rooted in thoughtful ritual, lymphatic health, and elevated well-being. After more than a decade building high-impact tech partnerships, she stepped away to follow a calling centered of healing, presence, and long-term care, bringing an operator mindset into the beauty and wellness space. Certified in Brazilian lymphatic drainage, Kelli blends science, intuition, and intention to help women reconnect with their bodies and restore balance from the inside out. Kelli, thank you for joining me.
No problem.
So happy to have you here.
Great. You nailed that, by the way. That was could you write my description for my business, please? Thanks.
Hey, nothing AI can't help with. Okay, so let's start with telling everybody a little bit about who you are beyond the label, beyond the founder title, beyond what you do day to day. Who's Kelli?
Great question. I feel like that's a constant thing I'm trying to figure out is who am I down to the core? But I guess, I'm just a girl, really, when it comes down to it. No, but I'm 33. I was born and raised in San Diego. I now live in Orange County with my husband. I've been married for a little over a year. Spent a decade of my career in tech. I've traveled a bunch. I've lived in 6 different cities across the US within a span of 6 or 7 years. So love to travel, love to explore new things. I've always been into health and wellness since I was a kid. So that's always been a very big value of mine. And I think that's really kind of, I guess, a good description of who I am in a nutshell.
Well, one thing that I know about you is that you are also a water sommelier.
Yes.
Tell me more about that.
Okay.
How did that even come about?
Okay, so it's funny because during COVID, when we were doing all those virtual events,
yes,
we were running out of things to host. And I remember somebody came up with the idea of a water tasting. Everyone was like, what the heck? Okay, water tasting, we're gonna do it. And we did it as a team event just to test it out to see if partners would like it. And we were all shocked. And they send you a pack of 5 different liters of water. And we had a tasting and we were all just blown away by you test your own tap water at home. And then the sommelier on the Zoom call or whatever just took you through the different, what they call terroir of just wine, right?
Yeah.
Through these waters. And I've never loved alcohol, just generally speaking. Yeah. I don't drink anymore. I haven't drank for 3 years. So that was kind of something where I was ooh, I can still scratch this itch of cool, story behind a drink that's cool. And people still look at me like I have 3 heads when I tell them this, but I find it fascinating, and it's now kind of integrated into my work in the spa world. Finding different waters that have a higher mineral source versus a lower mineral source, where they come from, all these things that make up this specific composition of water, literally like wine.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if I was
Yeah.
a sommelier, clearly I'd be a wine sommelier.
yeah.
I'm not there in life yet.
Yeah. I mean, it started as a hobby and now it's kind of like cool to integrate it into the work that I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've learned to drink spring water, not purified. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
See, I'm making progress too.
Good job. Yeah. Baby steps. It's all good.
I'm actually pretty big into like health and wellness. I'm not totally there yet, but I try to
fine.
cut out the stuff that like I read the ingredients on everything I buy and I bring into the house.
Right.
Still convincing my husband.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
I had to take, it's funny, like it took me some time to get my husband on board and now he's like checking me. I feel like social media has now like blown all this like non-toxic ingredient stuff up. And he is now checking me like, is this like on the ingredients list or is this like safe? And I'm like, relax. Like you just got on board with this like a year ago. Okay.
Well, I love that. Hopefully my husband is inspired because he's not quite there
He'll
yet.
get there. He'll get there. Yeah.
So one more thing on the personal level. So you grew up in San Diego.
Yes.
I know you lived in New York when we met.
Yes.
And now you're living in Orange County. So like of all the places you've lived, is there a favorite place and why?
Ooh. I mean, San Diego is probably still my favorite. Just obviously where I grew up. It's home for me. Love Orange County. I would say outside of California, Scottsdale, Arizona.
Wow. That is interesting. It is so hot there.
It's so hot, but it's affordable. It's easy to get around. It's like, I don't know how affordable it is now. It is.
Yeah,
but
that's
like,
a good point.
But when I was there back in like 2015, it was like $30,000 millionaire lifestyle.
Oh my
Like
God.
I was living on an SDR salary. I could do so many things. I had a monthly facial membership. Like it was,
So life was good.
Yeah, life was good.
I love it. Okay, so you mentioned being an SDR, so now we have to dig into the tech part of your career or your life. You spent a decade in tech. You were very successful in what you did before stepping out and moving into wellness. Tell me about that chapter in particular and how you got where you are today.
Yeah, so it's crazy. Like I graduated college, didn't actually plan to go into tech.
I don't think any of us do.
Yeah. I had a vision of wanting to go into like luxury hotel business. Ooh. I just have always like when I studied abroad, I was like, I think I want to go into hospitality. And I actually got denied a internship from the Hyatt. Yeah, I know.
I like Hyatt.
I know. I love Hyatt. I love Hyatt. But my GPA was like not what you had to have like a 3.8 graduating.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that. I had like, I don't know, 3.6 or something.
Okay. But anyway, I think I was a 3.4.
But anyway, yeah, they didn't accept me because of it. And then there was a startup that was pursuing me and like pursuing a lot of my like classmates. And yeah, they had a Phoenix office opening and I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to take it. And my dad's been in tech sales for forever. And so he told me, he's like, you should take this, like, go for it. Like, trust me, equity, you want to get on this. Like, and I was like, okay, I had no idea what I was doing. Find out I moved to Scottsdale with like my college roommate. She's also working at the same startup, different department. But I go through boot camp and I was like, what did I just pour? Like, what the heck? They wanted me to make like 80 to 100 calls a day. Like, and I was like, I don't know what the heck this is good. Like, what did I just do? But I ended up loving it.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It was like, once I got past the initial hump of like, this is so uncomfortable. I just ended up loving it. I can't explain it. But I was like also the only girl on a team of boys for a long time. And like, that was fun for me. Like, it was like, I never felt like held back by being a woman in that space. I always tried to use it to my advantage. Like, I remember my dad specifically like sitting me and my sisters down being like, if you're a cute girl in the world, you have a lot of advantages. I want you to know that.
I love that.
Yeah. And so
Thanks,
like,
Dad.
I know. And I remember him telling me the story of like an executive that he worked with who was a woman. And or like somebody in his ecosystem. And he's like, I'd been trying to get a meeting with this specific like CXO for forever. And then I see a woman in my same company, like send an email and get a meeting immediately. And like, you know what I mean? So like there are advantages of it. And so I just had always been like told by my dad, like use that in like a appropriate way, obviously. But yeah, it was fun for me.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I think that's interesting because I agree that if you are a good looking woman, if you took care of yourself, if you like carry yourself well, if you're professional, like you can use that to your advantage.
Right.
What really makes me mad though is when people use that as like the why versus it's a nice thing to have.
Yeah.
Versus like, hey, it's because I'm smart and pretty.
Yeah. And like, I love that kind of like almost like smoke and mirrors thing. Like people look at you and they kind of judge you by like how your appearance is or whatever. And then you start talking or you give a presentation and they kind of like, you see a shift.
Yeah.
And like, there's just a different type of respect.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
I love that so much. Like that to me was like one of the most gratifying things in tech.
Totally.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. I do love that insight. There is a flip side of the coin though, which is that you've got to you're held to a different standard. Like
Absolutely.
You have to be professional, you know, like I remember going into my career, I was surrounded by a lot of young men who they would drink and make mistakes. And I was held to a different standard, you know, and so probably good when you don't drink.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that was like another thing too. Like once I stopped drinking and confidently saying that in a setting full of like men who had maybe too many in that type of setting, saying that out loud to them, like that immediately gives you like safety, like in a safe boundary. And they're like, okay. Yeah. And like, you're clear headed, you know when to exit, you know how to like carry yourself.
Yeah.
It helped that part helped me a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Carrying yourself well, but also taking advantage of God's given gifts.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So you had a very successful career in tech. And I can say that firsthand working with you. Keeping that where you were probably making a lot of good money, leaving that to now go build your own thing without a guaranteed paycheck, without very large commission checks. What gave you the clarity and courage to walk away and choose what feels like alignment today?
Oh, I feel like I'm still questioning, like, did I make the right decision? But I think there came a point where the stress and anxiety of being in a sales profession was starting to come at me at like, at what cost is this the right path? And I think that, I think there was a point where like I was doing really well and I felt like I wanted a different challenge in life. Like and I sat with myself and be like, am I going to just do this till I'm 65?
Yeah.
Like what? Like I want to experience like the full spectrum of being alive. So there's no better time than the present. That's what our couples therapist says. No better time than the present. Yeah. So I just felt called like to do it. I think it kind of comes with like maybe some ignorance and some blind confidence, to be honest. But hey, it got me here and I'm still building. I'm still working on a really refined business plan. Like I don't think I made my exit with a business plan that I would like give somebody else today and be like, follow this template. Like I'm still refining that. And I think that part is the scary part. Yeah. And that's the part that keeps people stuck. And that's the part that keeps people in the same thing forever. Yeah. Because the paychecks are so comfortable. They're just so comfortable. And I miss that. There was a point where I was like texting Layla of being like, so how's it going over there? Like, you guys, how's the West Coast doing? Like, you guys got any openings? Like, just in case, like, might see me like coming back. But she's like, don't do it. And like having the support group to be like, no, like you're aligned to this, and like having a support group that knows you and knows the things that you talk about outside of work that light you up so much that they're like, no, like you're doing it. You're doing the thing that you always talk about outside of the title and outside of like your tech career, I guess. So,
yeah. So the big question then is, was there anybody who cautioned you not to do it, or who tried to say, hey, you know, maybe that's not the best idea? And then how did you overcome those doubts and fears that came along with not just the internal, but potentially any of the external influences?
I don't think there was one person specifically who, you know, told me don't do it. I think it was more like a conversation, like a real conversation, specifically like between my husband and I, of like, is this the right time for this for us?
Yeah.
Because when you're married, it's not just you anymore. It's you, your husband, then you have an entity, a whole other entity that has to be nurtured. So that was more of like the bigger conversation of like, let's figure out the timing.
Yeah.
And we did. And yeah, that's kind of, I guess, the answer to that. There wasn't anybody specifically who was like, don't do this. But I also kind of kept it a little bit more private, like closer to the chest.
Yeah.
So
totally. Well, they say sales is hard.
Yes.
And being in corporate is hard. But they also say owning a business is hard too.
Oh, it's so, yeah. It's
So
different
choose
hard.
your hard.
Different hard, different struggle, completely. But not like, there's still things that you can take from your experience in corporate and you will apply them.
Yeah.
Like the difference between me having a tech background and going into like a completely different industry of like spa, health and wellness, lymphatic drain, whatever, is I know how to sell. I know how to grow. I used to teach small businesses and large businesses like how to grow their business with the technology we were selling. So like let's take what I was like preaching to all these different companies and try to apply it to what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to keep up with because you're like, okay, especially in this space, like I'm giving facials and massages and I'm completely offline. And within that hour and a half that's happening. So like you have that like 3 to 5 times a day. And then I have to go home at night, fix my website, SEO, I haven't even gotten to like creating a newsletter with an email marketing list, plan my social media content calendar, like all of these things that like used to be like my 8 to 5.
Yeah.
Is now my, what do they call it? 5 to 10 or something. Yeah. Like exactly. That's the reality. But yeah, if it's worth it to you, it's temporary.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, you've mentioned a lot of challenges. I also feel that 80 to 100 calls you used to do probably built a lot of character.
Oh my God. I also did
and resilience.
Yes. I did that when I was 16 too. So the first cold calling job I had was actually in our family business. I was selling like HVAC systems.
Yeah.
And like retractable screen doors. I was like, by force, I was running trade shows and I was like in the office, like calling paper leads.
Yeah.
And it was so uncomfortable. But then that I feel like I was able to apply in tech. And now like we can take the tech and apply it to this. So it all just kind of like piggybacks off each other.
Yeah. Probably grateful that they made you do that.
Yes. And I remember them saying that. I remember my uncle being like, you'll thank me for this one day. And I was like,
I'm not gonna thank you for it today.
Yeah. But no, like it definitely paid off.
Yeah. So what was the hardest part about the transition for you? You've mentioned, making sure the timing was right and making sure that you and your husband were on the same page. But what was really that hardest part about the transition?
For me personally, probably the financial piece of like figuring out how much capital I'm actually going to need to get this business up and running.
Yeah.
To create a brand, a luxury brand. Like, what does that look like? It's so much more than just showing up at someone's house with a massage bed.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to build a brand and that's expensive. Like, so marketing costs, education. The education was like super expensive.
Yeah.
I spent all last year basically focused on higher education, specifically toward lymphatic drainage, the like sculptural buccal facials. I got licensed to be an esthetician. So that took an entire year and it was expensive.
Yeah.
Like that pretty much, like I left tech maybe with like 30 grand in savings, thinking like, oh, this has got me covered. No, that's like when you're first starting out, probably maybe a half a year in like marketing costs, like startup costs, education. I mean, depending on the industry that you're switching to or the jump you're wanting to make, just my advice would be to plan out, use AI, use ChatGPT. I feel like when I was leaving tech, it wasn't as
it wasn't ready
rich
yet.
and like it wasn't there yet. But now I'm like using it. I actually used it in January because in January I had no bookings for my business. And I was like telling Chat, hey, help me like figure out a plan here. Like I need to figure out a plan ASAP. Like how can I bootstrap this? And I've been bootstrapping for a year now, but like help me bootstrap this to like get, and now I'm fully booked for February and March. So like take it to our advantage, guys. Like AI is helpful. But yeah, I think the financial piece, like really building like a legit financial business plan.
Yeah.
Was the hardest part.
Yeah.
For sure. Not knowing like, cause you get so comfortable getting these like big paychecks.
Yeah.
You're spending it on whatever. I mean, we also got married and paid for our own wedding like the year before.
Really nice.
It was not cheap because I have expensive taste and I'm not ashamed to admit that. And like, that's a hard pill that my husband had to swallow, unfortunately, but we did pull it off. And then it was like, okay, figuring out the plan after that, it was just a lot back to back. So like using commission checks to pay for things that are like probably not necessary, but you're like, oh my God, it's our wedding or whatever. And then
one-time thing.
Yeah, exactly. So you just get comfortable like bringing in big checks, bringing in like sitting from your desk at home.
Yeah.
And now I'm out having to like every appointment counts.
Yeah.
Every move counts. Every post counts. So yeah, that's a long-winded answer to the question. But yeah.
I mean, like setting up the systems, number one, like even generally, like how do I take a payment?
Yes.
That in and of itself is difficult.
Yeah.
Now I have to like, as a business owner, I feel like you have to be an expert or at least know how to get through everything. Like you have to know the finances, you have to know the marketing, you have to know the sales, you have to know how to actually do the things.
Yeah.
How to actually do lymphatic drainage, which I can't imagine is very simple.
It isn't. Like, it's more like the education around lymphatic drainage of like, I'm not a doctor, but I did go to like, you know, an advanced like health training course. And like, you're dealing with more like sensitive liability issues and legal issues. And now I have to like hire a legal team and like get insured. And so there's so many things behind the scenes that you just like figure out as you go.
Yeah.
But you just make it work.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, the brand looks incredible. And you can tell that it is like a higher level brand.
Thank you.
You know, like I've worked with some local estheticians and things like that, and they do the natural stuff.
Yeah.
But your brand does look elevated.
Thank you.
So do know that it's working really well.
Thank you. That means so much.
So now that you are out of the rat race of tech, but now in the rat race of running a business, how did becoming intentional about what you're doing day to day affect you and your life? Like, how do you feel?
It's funny, like I feel lighter in some ways and heavier in others.
Yeah.
The things that have surprised me about running the business feel heavier because they're uncomfortable, like the finances, like the wearing multiple hats, the books. Oh my God, the books. If you're starting a business, get an accountant, invest in a bookkeeper. For the love of God, do yourself a favor and invest in that, because it will save you so much time and so much energy that you can put towards other things. The books are, we won't talk about that, but that was crazy figuring out the first year of that. And then, and then other things, like the things that where I feel intentional and lighter and like I'm being put on the right path. Like when I collaborate with a new client that is super complimentary and like, oh my God, you're gifted. Or I do a trade with somebody who's been in the business for 30 plus years and they're telling me like, oh my God, your gift, like they're complimenting me on this and telling me that I'm on the right path. That feels so like, okay, like it's like the universe giving me a thumbs up that I'm doing the right thing. So yeah, like in that sense, it does feel like I've put myself on a path that makes sense for me, and there's really no going back. I mean, there is. The beauty of leaving corporate is that you kind of have it to fall back on with experience, but do you really want to do that?
No, once you own like
living.
You own your time and your energy.
Exactly. Yes, you can set your own boundaries, you can set your own schedule, and like you can overwork for a certain period of time if you feel like you can do that, and then you can take time off without having to answer to somebody else. And that's great, because like family and like that's really what it boils down to at the end of the day.
Totally agree.
So we're all working to provide something for somebody other than ourselves, you know?
Well, we should be working to live, not living to work.
Yes.
And so when you can take control over that piece, which is how you can continue to live, but you just have to now fund your life. Especially when you like nice things like
yes. That
was probably also difficult.
I would put that up there. I mean, when I say finances, having to scale back my taste is probably been up there with the hardest thing I've ever had to do. You get accustomed to buying nice things.
Totally. So I had a channel partner that I worked with, and he said when he started his business, he was living off of like ramen and rice and beans. And he was like, so just be prepared for that if you want to go and be a business owner. And I was like, ooh, that's not healthy.
No, I don't recommend that. And definitely put that in your business plan.
Like how to afford healthy food.
Put something in your business plan that helps you actually like show up for yourself to get the things done that you need to get done. For me, I have to get weekly acupuncture because I'm like now bent over doing like a physical thing. Like, and if I can't show up to work, if I have carpal tunnel, I can't get massages.
Right.
So
that's a really good point.
That like what things you can write off as a business owner. Saying.
The other thing is that you made a really good point on is the books in terms of like making investments. Sometimes paying the money to get something done versus spending the time to try and figure it out it's just worth it to make the investment.
Absolutely, yes.
So you talk about healing from the inside out. Let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about your health journey, because I know you said you have always been interested in health and wellness since you were younger, but it'd be interesting to hear about how you really pivoted into it as a lifestyle. And then how did that health journey change the way you think about work and success as well? Because again, we talked about when you're in corporate, it can be overwhelming, it can be draining, and that affects your health too. So like, how has this entire journey from a health perspective started, and how has it impacted you?
Yeah, so my journey with health, I mean, as I said before, I don't know why, have always had this pull towards health and wellness. I think like in the second grade, my mom told me not to brush my teeth like more than 3 times a day. Like I was brushing my teeth like 3 to 4 times a day, just out of like caution. And like I was like would wash my hands so much at school that I'd come home with like cracked knuckles.
That's me.
And I was like freaking out, like an obsession.
Yeah.
Which to get down like into a deeper thing, like later down the line, I ended up developing an eating disorder. It was called orthorexia nervosa, which is basically an over obsession with being healthy.
Yeah.
So when I was working in tech, I was taking Adderall I would say up until like 2019 maybe. So give or take like 4 years where I was taking it every day. And it was like Hulk fuel for a salesperson, right? And then that was also like feeding this like eating disorder that I have. I was first of all on an SDR salary, not eating. I would eat like an avocado and an egg until like dinner time.
Yeah.
And just like blame it on the fact that I was a quote unquote vegetarian or being healthy, and then overworking out. And then my skin started to break out and I got like a hormonal imbalance. And then we get to, I think it was like 2017. I was trying to get help for my acne. They were dermatologists and I was living in Texas. And I was back and forth between a dermatologist and a what's the regular doctor?
What is this, like a physician?
Your regular physician. I'm going back and forth between these two doctors and like no one can figure this out except for my dermatologist was like, you need a hormonal screening immediately. Your hormones are super out of whack. And they told me, I went through the ringer. I saw an endocrinologist. I saw like just bounce back and forth between all these specialists. Just wanted to put me on birth control. They did internal and external ultrasounds to rule out like ovarian cysts and all this stuff. And the result that they told me, or that they thought it was that I had adrenal cancer at 25. And I was like frozen. And I went and I called my mom crying. My mom's like, there's no way. This is crazy.
Yeah.
And I was so freaked out. I went and I told my manager at work, like in our one-on-one, like, this might be a thing. I don't really know what to do. Like, but just a heads up, like, I'm going to be going to the doctor a lot, like this and that. So I was just like freaking out. And then when I went and saw an endocrinologist, she told me at 25 that I would never have kids and to not start having kids after 30. Like, this is what you said for verb. Don't try to start having kids after 30 like all your San Francisco friends, because that's just not going to happen. Wow. And I looked at her and I was like, what? And I said, not even like diet, lifestyle, and exercise. No, just give you a birth control pill. Huh? Okay. So I walked out of there and I was like, I'm not going back. This is crazy.
Yeah.
And this was in the middle of like me figuring out like just my life in general. I wanted to be back in California. I wanted to like be closer to home and just feel like I was grounded in something. I had moved like 4 times, and that stress probably was like accumulating too and like adding to all of this craziness. So I moved back home to San Diego, and I was living with my grandparents actually. And I reached out to a friend from high school who I knew had also had an eating disorder. And she'd posted something about like a naturopathic doctor to help you heal from that. And so I saw her and started working with her, and I still work with her now. I see her virtually. She's up in, I think, Washington, but she helped me rebuild like everything. And she specializes in like helping you rebuild from an eating disorder. And that at the time was not like as popular. Like telling people that you were seeing a naturopathic doctor was kind of like voodoo.
Yeah.
Like it was like, I remember my dad and my grandpa being like, you're what?
Yeah.
And yeah, like she helped me just like look at food differently. She told me to read this book, and I've recommended it to a few people since then, called Eating in the Light of the Moon. And it's more about intuitive eating and intuitive, like being a woman, and like just, it's fabulous. So if anyone is struggling with that, I highly recommend that book. I get chills like thinking about it. But that was like kind of the beginning of like going grassroots, like cutting out everything. Like I did that elimination diet or whatever. And that was crazy.
You're one of
like
the only
you're adding
people.
back in.
It's so hard.
It's so hard. I don't even think I made it the 2 weeks, but I figured out that I had a gluten allergy.
Okay.
So that's where the gluten allergy came from. Like that happened. So anyways, I started feeling better slowly. And then I was just researching like more modalities to do, like detoxing to try to get my hormones back in balance. And that's when I found lymphatic drainage.
Yeah.
And that's when I found sculpturobuccal like nervous system resetting and the connection between your nervous system and your health.
Yeah.
And like being on high alert all time and like all the time and like dealing with unprocessed trauma. So like going to therapy, like it was like a full house renovation, pretty much full project. And it took me probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 years for my acne to fully clear. But that was like, I had to fully invest. And naturopaths, they don't take insurance. So you're paying out of pocket.
Yeah.
And like people get really upset about that. And like now I see it, I understand why that is. Because when you go to a regular Western medicine doctor, look, there's room for both. But when it comes to preventative medicine, it is not, in my experience, been helpful.
Yeah.
They want to get you on, like they're trained to prescribe you a medication. And, you know, if I get in a car accident and I need a surgeon, then that is the route you need to go.
Yeah.
Go to the emergency room and get what you need. But yeah, like really pulling back all the layers. And like, I would come out of a naturopathic session with my doctor and feel like I had just gone to therapy and then got some supplements too.
Yeah.
So like, it's overwhelming because sometimes you don't know everything that's underneath the hood. And like, you know, you could find out that you have like mold toxicity or something and have to get rid of all your clothes and all your
I'm in that
furniture.
algorithm on Instagram.
Like, like that's a huge deal. Like that's like grief that you have to like get rid of stuff and like move. And so sometimes it's a huge undertaking. So all that to say, this practice is really just like an ode to all the things that helped me get through some rough health times, but also for anybody who's already healthy, it's great. So
Yeah.
Again, another long-winded answer, but
Yeah. That is so inspiring though, because I can tell you many of us feel the same way. We just can't figure it out.
yeah,
Can't figure it out. Like
Yeah.
we go to doctors, they try and prescribe us. I will not take any of the things.
right.
And then I'm just suffering. And I'm like, you know what? There's just nothing wrong with me, or whatever's wrong with me, I'll never figure it out. I'll just die and not know why.
Yeah.
But what I will say actually that you did say, stress, people don't realize that stress can actually kill you. I said this on my last episode.
So
It can kill you.
no, it can kill you for sure. Over time, it's like a slow death. Like who? What? I
Yeah.
don't want to die like that.
It affects all the things.
Yeah.
I'm still learning about the nervous system, but that affects your sleep. And then when you don't get sleep, it affects how you show up in life, all of those things.
Yeah.
So that's really inspiring because
Yeah.
I do think that there are people that can help you.
Yes.
It's great that there are practices like Empress that they have a place not just to get the healthy well-being, but they could hear such an inspiring story of like, hey, I healed, you can too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's possible. It's sometimes a long road, but how bad do you want to live and how bad do you want to live well is the question.
So now with this health journey that we've gone through, what does your day-to-day look like as somebody who fully is practicing, you know, living well?
So it depends. I mean, right now I'm in a shared space and I'm still very much, again, like in the building phase. So this is my first month and now March will be my second month where I'm fully booked, which is so exciting. It took me a year. So again, it takes time, but day to day I have my studio to myself 2 days a week. And then I share the space, like we share hours on Thursday and Friday. So I'm there, give or take 3 days a week, let's call it. And then the days that I'm not working are like the days that I can get admin done for the business. They're days that like, I go to acupuncture or I do something for myself or a doctor's appointment or whatever it is. So at least I have like 2 weekdays where I can like get other like personal things done.
Yeah.
And then the weekends I try not to work. I sometimes will take clients on a Saturday if I can't fit them in during the week. And then, I try to enjoy the weekend with my husband because he works in tech still.
Yeah.
So that's my day to day, but it took me a while to get there. Like before I had my studio, I was doing house calls. So it was very sporadic. Like there were days when I wasn't booked and my husband would come out and be like, what are you doing today? And I was like, oh, you're right. I know. I need to like figure it out. And so, that's just like, I don't know, the team environment where, he'd push me to be like, all right, let's like do something like productive, or let's like figure out like what we can do to like elevate the next thing. So now I have a much more like structured schedule. But last year, because I was doing school and things were just like very much in flux. But that's what my day-to-day looks like now.
Yeah. Isn't partnership at home so important?
Oh, it's so important. Like, I remember hearing this quote, like, choose your husband, like your life depends on it.
Yeah. Because it does.
It does. Absolutely. Like, I would not be here right now floating this business without my husband. I can't imagine doing it on my own. Like, truly. So,
I think like the independent woman in all of us wants to say, we don't need anybody, any of that. The reality though is it's really great to have a partnership where we can both show up, and there's going to be some days where I'm 25% and he's 75%.
Yep.
And then other days where he's 20 and I'm 75.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I love that.
So important.
I see the most successful people have really great partnership at home.
Chills. It's so good and it's so important.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you had any advice for someone who's currently feeling stuck, who's feeling like they need to jump into something new, like they're ready for change, but they just don't know how to get started, or they're scared, or, all of the limiting beliefs that we all have within ourselves, what advice would you share for somebody who's just in that place right now?
Oh man, it's so hard because I feel like I was there for a while, but I mean, this sounds so like cliche, but you gotta just go for it. I would say, plan, just write down, like manifest, like get a journal and like write down like what you see for yourself. Like, what is the thing that you talk about when you're not at work that lights you up and that like you feel like you could talk about for hours with somebody else? Like, what's something that you can do that's aligned with that like when you talk about it, you feel energized, not depleted. And if it's like fostering cats, then like foster cats on the weekend, like it can be so many things. And like for me, like, this is so funny. So obviously I own a spa and everything, but like I have this like new gravitational pull towards like birds. And I'll like post it on my page like a lot. And I have this like bundle of followers that's like here for the bird watching. But it's like, like if I like in my free time, I want to be like with like the OC birds of prey sanctuary, like helping them. Like, what is something that like makes you just feel like you're alive?
Yeah.
That focus on that, write it down, like save it in your notes, talk about it. I think talk about it more, like doesn't have to be broadcasted, but like talk about it with your partner, talk about it with your parents or your friends, like that you trust. And people like give you feedback. Like I have a friend who started a company from high school and she's super successful now. And I heard her on her story recently. She just spoke at Harvard, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. And she talked about how she also was in tech in San Francisco and would like take her product to work and tell her coworkers that it was her friend's company. So she would get like real feedback on it. And they would give it to her and she'd be like, okay, thanks. And then like take the real feedback. And like now she's like crushing it.
That's
so
amazing.
Anything that like, again, that just makes you feel good and alive, like do that.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people chase the money, but the reality is when you chase purpose and your calling, the money does come.
That's the Empress philosophy, ma'am.
Yeah, exactly.
Abundance will find you.
I'm ready for it. So,
Yes.
Kelli, thank you for being here. Thank
so
you for sharing all these insights, and thank you for getting so vulnerable in terms of like your journey, because again, there are so many people feeling that way right now, and there is a way.
Yeah.
And stories like yours just really make it real. So thank you.
Of course.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for joining us. Until next time, take care.
Bye.